Texas Congressman Pat Fallon was one of those lawmakers on that trip. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee, and he joins us now. Congressman, great pleasure to have you with us. Let me get first quickly to the news of the day. President Biden saying Putin, quote, cannot remain in power. The White House saying, you know, regime change isn't official White House policy. What was your take on those remarks from the president?
Well, Jonathan, Joe Biden and his administration are saying one thing and then contradicting it. It's odd. We need to have the president stop following from behind and leading from the front. He's dragged his feet when we requested more lethal aid back in November. He didn't help the Poles transfer the MiGs to the Ukrainians. We also had the Russian oil ban that he dragged his feet. He followed Congress because we demanded it in a bipartisan fashion, and he still hasn't called for Russia to be removed from SWIFT. So I'm not surprised that he would say one thing and then had to walk it back a few hours later.
Congressman, on the lethal aid question, we know that a lot of Javelin and Stinger missiles have come in. We know that air defense systems have come in. What do you want to see? What do you think we should see on top of all that aid, which is obviously making a difference?
No, Jonathan, it absolutely is. The Javelins and the Stingers and the other man-pads, which are portable surface-to-air missiles, have made a difference. And the Ukrainians have an incredible will to fight, and they're inspiring every freedom-loving person in the world. What we also need to give them is sniper rifles, plastic explosives, anti-tank mines, light machine guns, and plenty of ammo. That's one of the reasons we went over there, was to ask our Eastern European allies what they needed, what the Poles needed, and the Romanians. And the Ukrainians, again, are they're stopping the Russian bear in its tracks. This is now going to be a protracted struggle, and we need to be there to provide them the humanitarian, the economic, and the military aid they need to win this fight.
What's your view on handing them MiG fighters from, say, Poland or another Eastern European country? Should we support that and backfill those Eastern European nations with aircraft?
Yeah, I was perfectly fine with that. Probably should have been done a little bit more discreetly and just not have made a big deal of it and just done it. Because we want to talk about fear of escalation. Vladimir Putin's the one that escalated by invading a foreign power and trying to bend to his will 44 million people. You know, and freedom and liberty, Jonathan, are one tyrant away from extinction, to paraphrase the former president, the great Ronald Reagan. And we saw that firsthand in Poland and Romania. And we also visited Moldova, and the Moldovan prime minister, of course, they're not a member of NATO, but she looked us right in the eye and asked, please help us remain a member of the free world. That's what's at stake here.
Right. And Congressman, you saw a lot of the refugees in the situation, which is a heartbreaking situation on those borders of those countries. Describe a little what you saw in terms of the refugees.
Jonathan, it does make your heart bleed. What I did see, though, was the best of humanity, because the Poles and the Romanians and the Moldovians and other countries in Eastern Europe have opened not only their hearts, but their homes. There's an estimate that there's 2 million Ukrainian refugees in Poland, and there's no large refugee camps because they've opened their homes and they're living with Polish families. Moldova is one of the poorest countries, if not the poorest country in Europe, and they've taken in as many as 400,000 refugees in a country of 2.7 million. That's 15% of their population. And with their meager wealth, they are also opening up their hearts and their homes. So it's very inspiring. But of course, with 9 million Ukrainians displaced, about 5 million of them displaced in Ukraine and 4 million crossing the borders into neighboring countries, it is a humanitarian disaster. And Vladimir Putin, all of this fault and blame lays at his feet.
And Congressman, just very quickly as we wrap it up here, is this the greatest threat to freedom in the world in your lifetime?
Right now, you know, China is looming right there, but this is a direct threat and attack on democracy and freedom and, our European friends and allies. And one thing, Jonathan, of the 10 nations in NATO that are actually fulfilling their 2% commitment on defense spending, 6 of them are former communist bloc countries. So they know the threat, and they always have.
Congressman Pat Fallon from the great state of Texas. Great to talk to you, Congressman. Thank you.